You buy that, Whitlock?
1,000%.
Oh, Lord.
This team is built for one mission: get Luke Walton fired. It's going to blow up, and they're going to fire Luke Walton, and then they're going to get a coach in here that LeBron wants, and then they're going to build the real team around LeBron. This team has one mission: get the coach fired, create the chaos. It may happen by midseason.
Oh.
Everybody, all these guys that don't fit, can't shoot around LeBron on one-year deals.
Can I remind you of last year? Kyrie leaves LeBron. The replacement can't play. Kevin Love gets hurt for a month. The coach has, health issues. They make a total roster switch at midseason. They have several key injuries. J.R. Smith at one point throws soup at a coach on the staff, and they get to the finals. LeBron's lived in chaos for 10 years. He overcomes it every time. The West is not, after what Houston did, losing their forwards. Golden State's great. Everybody's beatable after that. LeBron swims in chaos. He dines in chaos. He lives in chaos.
And fired coaches.
Come on,
fired coaches.
You don't like Magic.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah.
But here's my thing. They're not planning. This is a long-term strategy, long-term meaning the next 2 or 3 years. This team right here, a lot of one-year deals. They didn't want money to get tied up because some of the other free agents were looking for long-term deals, and the Lakers weren't going to tie that money up. So what you do is you put together a competitive team, you get this Lakers team back relevant again. And again, Colin, we were talking about this. In the West, Jason, you may agree or disagree, but think about the teams right there we're talking about competing. Houston just lost, I think, 2 of their key pieces, okay?
Right.
I don't really trust OKC yet. Portland is a team, I don't know where they're at. Denver, Utah may be the only one in regards to maybe taking that next step. But who is really a viable threat to
the world's best basketball player?
Lakers are putting themselves in position, and you say, well, they could very easily be in the top 5 of the Western Conference at the end of the year based on what's going on all around the rest of the Western Conference. And I agree with them. Don't tie up your money this year. Big-time free agent class next year.
I don't see this spontaneously combusting thing happening. I keep coming back to this. All 3 of these guys were key contributors on playoff teams last year. JaVale McGee cleaned up his act in Golden State. Rondo, by the way, played Damian Lillard to a standstill in the first round, and they won. And Lance Stevenson, came off the bench for the Pacers last year, but I just don't see it. And let's not forget, LeBron's here for 3 years. There was the chance of combusting in Cleveland last year because his deal was up. But now he's sticking around for 3 years. I don't see why you'd build a team to get a coach fired. It just doesn't really make sense.
Why do you think they want to get him fired?
None of these guys can. Well, because Rob Pelinka and Magic Johnson didn't hire him. LeBron hasn't met with him.
Okay.
He's insignificant.
So why don't they just fire him?
Because they can't, because Jenny Buss is committed to him right now. But halfway through this season, after watching a group of guys that couldn't beat me, you, and Cowherd in a game of horse, they couldn't beat us in a game of horse. They can't shoot. They've surrounded LeBron with a bunch of guys that can't shoot. Look, JaVale McGee's coming off his best behavior because they were in a championship run. They won't be in a championship run here. Lance Stevens is going to Lance Stevens wherever he's at. I've seen it. I'm a Pacer fan. Rajon Rondo's one of the more difficult players to play with in the league and coach in the league. He's a very smart guy, but he's difficult.
But they're all on one-year deals.
Right.
Act up, you're out the door.
That's a totally different deal.
That, to me, everybody on a one-year deal. Wasn't that Isaiah Thomas' situation where he was out trying to play for his next contract? So you got a bunch of guys playing for their next contract who can't shoot, who are surrounded by a guy that brings the biggest spotlight in the history of sports. It's not going to take much of a match. The gas is all sitting there. The fans are being flamed. Somebody's going to throw a match, probably LeVar Ball.
Well, I think that's probably outside of those 3, I think that's the biggest, conundrum right now is the LeVar Ball, Lonzo Ball situation, depending on what happens with Rondo at the beginning of the year. To me, the other 3 I think are professional enough. And again, Alvin Gentry is great. I thought what Rondo did in New Orleans was absolutely wonderful, despite his reputation and what went on. But we haven't even talked about that Lonzo issue because I do think it comes to a point where Rondo is going to be on the court and we're going to start to hear the backdrop of some murmuring from LeVar. How will the Lakers and LeBron, you got to include LeBron in this, handle that situation going in? That's going to be the key to me.
Cowherd, are the Rockets still the #1 threat to the Warriors?
I don't think so. I don't. I think they're desperate at forward. Listen, you cannot be deficient at forward in the West. You got a Durant now. You got a LeBron now. You got a Kawhi Leonard now. You just can't be weak there. And they are. And those were willful, long, athletic defenders at a reasonable price. But this is what happens. Chris Paul demands a max. Bye-bye, Trevor Ariza. And Clint Capella wants to be paid like a star, though he can't shoot in 2018. Bye-bye, Luke. This is what happens. Jason, we look at the Golden State dynasty, and what we've never given enough credit to is smarts. Kevin Durant last year, same time. I'll take less money to keep Andre Iguodala. Chris Paul this year, I want a max. You're never healthy. Golden State's dynasty has been formed off drafting smart. It's been off being smart. Last year at this time, Golden State had the same dilemma. Kevin Durant, second best player in the world, said, I'll take less. Chris Paul played 50 games this year. He wants a max. This is what happens. Their window closed.
Yeah, I don't think the Rockets are the number one threat. And I'm not even sure if there is a number one threat to the Golden
That's
State
probably
Warriors
in the West, there may not be.
But, you know, right now, Utah and OKC look like, to me, the best contenders. But it certainly isn't the Houston Rockets.
Yeah.
Any team that's talking about signing Carmelo as a solution.
Well, you know, even if you sign Carmelo, you got to be upfront and honest with what his role is going to be. You got to do that from day one. If you want to come here, this is your role, 20, 25 minutes, whether that's coming off the bench. You're not going to get X amount of shots. You have to put the onus on Carmelo to make a decision. But I always thought this Houston team, to me, they weren't built for the long term. And what I mean by that, Boston is, Philly is, even Golden State, because they're still youthful in their prime positions. Houston, your best player, second best player, is Chris Paul at 33, been injured. Talking about coming back now for another year. James Harden's a little bit older. So this Houston team, now you lose Trevor Ariza, he was still older. So what was that run ultimately going to be for Houston if they didn't win it in this window of this year or next year? What was it going to be? I never liked that makeup in regards to long-term success for Houston. And I think we see it playing out. They're going to have to pay Clint Capella. Is he worth it?
No.
That's not the question. Is he going to get it? More than likely.
He's got some leverage.
Because he has leverage with the Rockets because they need to keep something intact in order to sell what they've been selling, that they can be a viable threat to Golden State.
I would agree with you, Whitlock. Utah is a team on the rise, but also Carmelo leaving OKC feels like addition by subtraction. You get him out of the locker room, you get the distraction of I want my shots out of there. But I believe, guys, the LA Lakers, second best team in the West. I think LeBron's worth 15 wins. Remember, 35 wins last year plus 15 from LeBron, that's 50. Third best team in the West last year won 49 games. You're telling me LeBron isn't worth 15 wins to the Lakers? I think they're right there, second in the West. Now, taking down Golden State, that's another challenge. But
my pushback against the Lakers as the threat would be, look, winning 35 games when no one cares, when other teams are rolling in there, Lonzo and the kids, let's slap them around. When LeBron is there, you get everybody's A-plus game. And so winning 45 games with LeBron going to be much harder than winning 35 when Lonzo and Kuzma and Brandon Ingram, everybody's under 180
Lonzo
pounds.
did miss 30 games last year. Brandon Ingram missed 20. They had a bunch of one-year
You don't like
contract
any of these
guys.
young Laker players. Kuzma scores 16 as a rookie.
I like Kuzma.
Kuzma is significantly better as a rookie than Kawhi and Paul George was. Significantly.
Hey, Brandon Ingram is about to take a big leap, guys. I'm telling you.
Kawhi and Paul George. And again, Kawhi and Paul George joined teams that were playing important games. The Lakers were playing it's like a totally different league. None of their games mattered. All of San Antonio's games have mattered for the last 20 years. Many of the Pacers games on Paul George's rise mattered. It's easy to put up numbers when everybody is giving you their 80% regular season effort and the important teams are getting your 95, 100% effort. And so I like Kuzma, but I'm not sold on anybody, including Kuzma, until I see him play an important game.
That's fair.